Welcome to the Sleep is a Skill podcast. My name is Molly McLaughlin, and I own a company that optimizes sleep through technology, accountability, and behavioral change. Each week, I'll be interviewing world-class experts ranging from doctors, innovators, and thought leaders to give actionable tips and strategies that you can implement to become a more skillful sleeper. Let's jump into your dose of practical sleep training. Welcome to the Sleep is a Skill podcast. My guest today is Jim Poole, and he is the chairman, president, and CEO of Solace Lifesciences, which is the company that produces NuCalm. I have gotten a ton of questions about NuCalm. Can it help with my sleep? Can it help with my HRV? So we're going to get into all of that today. And they did set us up with a promo code in the event that you want to test it out. It is an app, and they send you some accoutrements with it. And the promo code is MM1010 off, and that is OFF. So definitely put that in if you are going to end up testing out this system. Now, a little bit about Jim. He is an accomplished business executive with extensive experience in healthcare, biotechnology, market research, dental, financial services, and IT industries. Since 2009, Mr. Poole has managed the strategic direction and ongoing operations of Solace Lifestyle. Again, they're the owners of NuCalm, the neuroscience company that created the world's first and only patented, clinically proven platform that allows humans to change their mental state on demand without drugs, without side effects, and without compromise, they say. And in 2015, Solace Lifesciences, the maker of NuCalm, was granted the world's sole patent for, quote, systems and methods for balancing and maintaining the health of the human autonomic nervous system. Now, naturally, at Sleep is a Skill, we are exploring all means of doing just that, of really managing our nervous system so that we can fall asleep with ease and sleep throughout the night. And if we do wake up, be able to have a say in how our nervous system is responding and be able to drift back to sleep is really our goal here. And from that place, we're going to get into a lot of topics on the regulation and management of our nervous system by virtue of the platform that they've created. And even if you don't get NuCalm, our intention is that you learn some really interesting and noteworthy things in the realm of nervous system regulation and HRV. So I think you're all going to really enjoy this. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, you all, I'm so excited to announce our new sponsor, Soul CBD. When I was at my lowest point dealing with my insomnia, CBD was one of the key compounds that I leaned into to combat my crippling anxiety, calm my nervous system, and support my journey to entrain my circadian rhythm. But of all the brands out there, where can you go that you can have a strong trust in their quality? Well, Soul CBD is completely THC-free, organically farmed, gluten-free, and third-party tested for toxins. Now, one of the things that is great about Soul is that they aim to help create rituals around your CBD use. And sleep and rituals are best friends. For instance, I love that Soul CBD supports a nighttime bath routine with their CBD bath bombs, which help to combat stress, soothe aching muscles with a mix of CBD essential oils and dead sea salts. Another ritual that we aim to cultivate in the realm of sleep optimization is circadian rhythm intermittent fasting, which is really all about eating your meals between sunrise and sunset. And Soul CBD has very popular gummies that can serve as a nighttime dessert or treat to look forward to without caving to ice cream. Nice alternative. My go-tos personally are their oils, capsules, topicals, and even CBD bath bombs. It's helpful for anyone who struggles with anxiety, pain, or sleep. Now, particularly when I'm traveling, I like to lean into as many things as possible to help with inflammation, and CBD does just that. Now, here's a really cool part. You get 15% off automatically and free shipping when you go to mysoul.com/sleep is a skill. I'm going to say that again. You get 15% off automatically. All you have to do is go to this link, which will be in the show notes, mysoulcbd.com/sleep is a skill. All right, let's get on to the show. And welcome to the Sleep is a Skill podcast. I could not be more excited to have this conversation with Jim Poole. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time. I know your lineup is wild of people that you're interacting with, governments, top high performers, all kinds of people that you are working with. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I would like to jump right in because I know you are just a wealth of information. So want to just give people a little bit of a background as to how you found yourself into this arena of NuCalm and how this relates to sleep.
Wonderful. My previous occupation, well, several, was an investment banker in the private equity Wall Street side of the world. And commensurate with kind of the meltdown of Wall Street and private equity and mergers and acquisitions, the neuroscientist, quantum physicist, naturopath who invented this product offering contacted our firm. He had heard in the ethers from a dentist of all people that there was a firm that made another dentist $300 million through an acquisition of a company in California, which was our firm. And there was truth. And he was a neuroscientist needing to take his invention out of his cranium into the world. And so he contacted our firm in June of 2009. And I was really smitten with his intellect. I mean, the brain science and studying the human brain is such a depth. You never really get bored because it's constantly evolving. And he also, the unique part about Dr. Holloway, he had a Southern drawl, being raised in East Texas, which I think I found disarming as an East Coast New York businessman.
Sure.
And he was egoless. I mean, he had an ego enough to take care of himself and survive, but his whole goal in life was the compassion, persistence of helping humanity. And that grabbed my heart. The intellectual curiosity in me grabbed my brain. And then the opportunity. Molly, he said this to me. He said, I've invented a technology that quickly, predictably, and safely relaxes the mind and body within minutes without side effects. And I never heard that statement said out loud. I didn't understand. My first thought was marijuana. And then I thought, well, marijuana makes your mouth dry and your eyes gloss over and you get the munchies and you giggle and you lose sense of time. So there's side effects to marijuana. That's what got me into this.
Wow. And it's had such a ripple effect and impact that even just right before this podcast, it just so happened that someone had messaged me asking, have you tried NuCalm? What's the deal with this? What is this thing? The amount of times I've been asked about NuCalm and wanting to know more, but what does it do? What's the little sticker, the whole thing? And by the way, as for context for anyone listening, the reason for having this podcast was not just for like, oh, here's another, thing for you to buy or to get when looking to improve your sleep. Instead, this is something that just has had such conversations around it and such feedback from people, especially I have people that are wearing the Leaf, which is a continuous HRV tracker, and will notice that when they're using that, seemingly they're having improvements in their HRV during the time of utilizing NuCalm. So just a lot of questions of like, what is this thing? So that's why we wanted to have this conversation today to get in deeper on what does this all look like?
So before we start with the science, and it's going to be fascinating, we can go many, many layers of the onion. I'd like to just start with the foundation. Now, your audience has probably heard you many times because people are going to ask you these things because the technology has the only patent in the world for lowering stress and improving sleep quality without drugs. So inherently, people are going to find it somewhere on the internet and they're going to ask you. And that's great. Let's start with what it means to be a human. We have two nervous systems. Many of us are familiar with the central nervous system. The central nervous system has one primary function, and it's really important. It's called self-preservation. It keeps us alive. Your central nervous system works all the time. And it works in a nanosecond compartmentalization, meaning every nanosecond of every second of every minute and hour that you're alive, it's constantly evaluating your surroundings for familiarity and security. The other nervous system is the autonomic nervous system. Now, some people have heard about it. Some people have studied it or remember it from, biology in 10th grade. The autonomic nervous system has two sides. It has the stress response, which is called the sympathetic nervous system, and it has the rest and digest response, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. But what people don't realize is that aspect of our body and our brain and our spirit, that's 40 million years evolved. This is called the reptilian side of our brain. The reptilian side of our brain, if you think about how complex the brain is, how quickly we consolidate memory and we learn Just think of the last 2 years, how much learning and evolution you've done to exist in COVID. Give that same brain of yours 40 million years to build the perfect mousetrap. The fight or flight mechanism is the perfect neuronal network. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. The autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, governs fight or flight, but it also governs human fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. So here's how this works on a daily basis. Your central nervous system has an incredible memory. It remembers every time you were publicly shamed or failed or felt guilty, anything you've ever done. And it wants you to succeed, but it wants to keep you isolated. If your central nervous system had any power over you, it would keep you isolated in your bedroom for the rest of your life, because then you're safe. When it perceives a threat of any kind, memory, real, perceived threat, it activates the amygdala of the autonomic nervous system, that reptilian side of our brain. So the prefrontal and frontal cortex, which you'd call your forehead, separates us as humans from primates. This area of our brain is 4 million years evolved, 4 million. And this area of our brain happens to be our character, our personality, our presence, our patience, our executive functioning, our ability to solve problems, and our emotional stability. So think about it. On a daily basis, we are challenged with trying to overcome a 36 million year head start by the brain's neural circuitry to override these triggers that create anxiety, fear, depression, and worry. So who are we to judge when we behave out of character? Who are we to judge when we don't take care of ourselves? This is neuronal circuitry that you don't override. We're just living in that landscape. So I think it's really important that we understand, what is the landscape? What's the chessboard that we call being a human? That's where we start. And so interestingly for us as a neuroscience company, we began our quest and our invention and our discovery and all the stuff we do 32 years ago. And it's a long time. And 32 years, we're still at probably the nascent stages of really understanding the capability of what we need to do to manage the brainwave function of a human. But complex problems, such as stress and sleep, require complex solutions. That's life. There's a direct correlation between your stress, how you manage stress, and your sleep. And it's that simple.
Yes.
Many people out there will say, hey, I don't sleep well, but I manage stress well. Well, let's take your ego aside. And that statement is nonsensical. It can't coexist that way.
Yeah.
Stress has a really important hormone called cortisol. And cortisol changes our physiology. It does a lot of bad things for us if it's chronically, constantly being pinged. And I find that most of us, especially in American culture, we're constantly, as soon as we wake up, cortisol is the highest in the morning. As soon as we wake up, our to-do list and our monkey mind just freaking takes over and just dominates. It does. And when we see an energy dip in our cognition and our physical energy, we often, as Americans, reach for energy drinks or espresso at 2:00 in the afternoon. And it's like, oh my goodness, please understand physiology. When your body is demanding a break, listen to your body. That's when you actually need a break. And if you listen to your body and take care of your body will in turn take care of you. So we're in this really strange pace. I often wonder, when we lie down at bedtime and we put our head on the pillow and our mind is racing, very few of us are ever satisfied, because very few of us have ever achieved our to-do list. But I would challenge your audience to say, what part of that to-do list is really that imperative that overrides your health and longevity and resilience and ability to reduce inflammation and increase your body's natural resistance? What exactly on that to-do list was that important? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
That's where we need to stop. And I think when I reflect on 2 years ago, I believe it's tomorrow. I was in New York when New York shut down for COVID. It was actually St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, my birthday. What a great moment.
Well, happy birthday. That
well, thank you.
Great birthday.
Yeah, right.
We have several reasons to indulge in alcohol.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So, this COVID happens, and you remember back then, 2 years ago, they said, well, this will be about 7 days, or, we'll have these restrictions about 10 days. This is 750 days later, right?
Yeah.
So I think what's fascinating, though, Molly, is I think the world and the human race needed this. We needed this opportunity to stop, and we need to reset, because where our trajectory was going was nowhere but downhill, in a depreciated state, and in a miserable state. You look at all the anchors, you look at all the numbers out there, you see the increased instance of child abuse, you see the increased incidence of spousal abuse, you see the increase in alcohol consumption and drug abuse, and you see the increase in our kids being administered anti-anxiety and antidepressive drugs. These are children. Their brains have not fully developed yet. And now you're going to compromise the evolution of their brain chemistry and physiology by introducing an anti-anxiety drug into their brain chemistry, knowing full well that the body has a natural compensatory mechanism that will create all these compensation pieces and change the trajectory of that brain's evolution. That is tragic, awful. Yes. And it just speaks to the desperation that we're all having now. So it's all predicated on stress. Sleep is probably 80% dependent on the human stress response.
Absolutely. And so for you, when 2009, you're connected with Dr. Hollowell. And in that moment, was there an evolution where you started to then discover, okay, this can really be something that we can have in the hands of every person to make a difference? Take us through kind of what evolved, and a bit more about how this could be an access point to impacting the stress response.
That's a great question. It happened very quickly. Sometimes things take a while to manifest and gain clarity, but it happened relatively quickly. From June 2009 to October, we just were having weekly conference calls, learning. I just was growing an affinity to him as a human. But as a business, I didn't see the opportunity because it wasn't clear to me what the heck it was, right?
Right.
And then I flew down to Texas. I finally got just enough impatient. I said, you know what? I got to meet this guy. I got to try this. So I fly down to Texas and I try NuCalm for the first time. And I remember the experience vividly. It was about 32 minutes. I was in a doctor's chair. I had just come in from international travel. I was relatively jet lagged, certainly dehydrated, and not really in balance. And I remember vividly in the experience itself, 3 or 4 occasions during the 32 minutes, my nose had such an itch on it. And I'd say, wow, my nose has to itch. And I was like, I couldn't find the strength to move my arms to itch it. And then I'd forget about it. And then my mind would wander again. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, you have an itch on your nose, itch it. I can't. And I remember that. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm like trapped in this weird state of lucid dream and not really available to move that easily. When I got up, I felt so much better. I felt physically relaxed, like Gumby. Literally, my body felt so loose. I felt grounded to the earth. But I had a mental acuity and clarity that as a high-performing CEO, I love this. I was like, I feel amazing. And there's no way I should. The next day, we spent 9 hours in a boardroom whiteboarding the science. Now, I had some background in science. And so the logic puzzle that Blake put together on this 20-year journey prior to that made sense to me. And then comes the linchpin. We bring in our intellectual property attorneys, we bring in our accountants, we bring in our corporate attorneys, and we basically take over the business. And the intellectual property attorneys do a vast assessment of this patent that they had begun to author. And from my knowledge and my experience in running companies for a living, intellectual property attorneys are really not prone to hyperbole. You're going to get the truth, and you're probably going to get a conservative bent on it. They came back to us 10 weeks after their analysis and said, if you get this patent, you will own the only patent in the world for balancing the human autonomic nervous system, which governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, fight or flight, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And that concept really blew my mind. And for me, Molly, it simply validated what I intuitively thought was something that could really change humanity is actually true, because in patent law, the onus falls on the company to define 2 things. One, that prior in human history, there is no prior art. This never existed before. And secondarily, is it efficacious and does it do what you claim it does? Well, it took us 5 years. It took us the best scientists in the world, statistical biophysicists from Harvard Medical School, mathematicians from NASA, the former medical director of the NFL. We have 52 doctors on our medical advisory board of the who's who. And it took us 5 years to present irrefutable quantified evidence to showcase using heart rate variability. Now, medical grade with single lead ECG devices in a real complex process. But I knew probably 12 weeks into visiting Dr. Holloway that this would be my mission for the rest of my life. And that would be to liberate humanity from the grips of stress, understanding that addition by subtraction will make each of us a better human being. Because stress in its chronic form has never improved our emotional stability. It's never made us patient. It's never made us present. It's never made us our best person. We've lost a lot of time. We've lost a lot of energy. We've lost a lot of relationships by succumbing to this. It's incessant. Stress just grips you, gets you, and then it takes off from there. So it was, at this point today, I'm 13 years running this company. I can't tell you where NuCalm and our company stops and Jim Poole's DNA begins. I'm intertwined with it, and I'm inexorably linked for the rest of my existence with what we're doing. I served as the voice and the conductor and the visionary for a scientist who was so blessed with tremendous curiosity and ability, but also was cursed with Asperger's. So it was quite a unique relationship. He's passed away on December 20th of 2020, which is unfortunate for many reasons, but he passed away before we launched the full throttle of his invention, which breaks my heart, even though he's probably in the ether somewhere paying attention and smiling with a big heart. So that's where it came to be, and that's what it is. So why don't I tell you what it is we do?
Yes, that would be great.
We'll pierce the veil.
That's the biggest question. We'll get on Instagram, I get on my newsletters, this thing, NuCalm, and I'll mention at different points and different clients using it. And they'll say, okay, but what is it? And what is the sticker? And what is the thing? And so that would be great. Okay.
There's going to be several layers of the onion. We're not going to go too deep. If you want to go deep, we've got white papers and science up the wazoo. Okay. Conceptually, here's what we're doing. We are using your ears as a carrier to present your brain at the caudate nucleus of the midbrain, where your ears process the signal. We're presenting your brain with a beat, with a pattern. This pattern for NuCalm happens to slow down your brainwave function into alpha and theta. So the human brainwave function is a 41 hertz range. And there are 5 components to it. Really, we play in 4 of them. The 5th one is a place that's ethereal and difficult to get to. But we'll start at the lowest form. 0.5 hertz to 4 hertz is deep sleep. So when your brainwave form is oscillating at 0.5 to 4 hertz, you are in deep sleep. It's a dreamless-like deep sleep. Your body and mind are healing. Now, this isn't up for debate. This is physics and math. If my brainwave function right now is at 2 hertz, I'm face down in a puddle of drool in deep sleep. That's just the way it is. As we go a little faster in the frequency, we go 4 hertz to 7 hertz. That's theta. Now, theta is fascinating. In theta, for the healers and the functional medicine, integrative medicine folks, the vagal issue and vagal stimulation and the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic dominance, it's all related to theta. Now, when your brain wave is oscillating in theta, which is 4 hertz to 7 hertz, just above deep sleep, your cells are doing 2 really important functions for resilience and for longevity. They're cleaning their toxins. This is the only time and the only period in your daily life that your cells clean their toxins and do their daily maintenance. Number 2, the mitochondria, which is the energy source of your cell structure, is being restored. So theta is known as the healing zone. It also has commensurate properties to the second stage of sleep. But what we find in sleep architecture is when we go through puberty and our hormonal dysregulation compromises our circadian rhythm, no kid going through puberty has a circadian rhythm. That's why they can get up at 5:30 every day, Monday through Friday, and then sleep till noon on Saturday. You and I can't do that. right? We have a circadian rhythm, but we're not going through puberty. So after puberty, it appears that most humans, as we age, we glide too quickly through that second stage in theta of sleep. Therein lies the problem, because when your cells clean their toxins and the mitochondria are stored, if you did this every night, if you slept well every night, you'd probably live to be about 150 years old. Why? Because your cells would do their job. So theta is really important, and any technology, any way to bring your brainwave function to theta in a concentrated way and to stay there is the key to healing. When we go above theta, we go into alpha. Many people have heard of alpha. Alpha is synonymous with creativity, being in the zone, being relaxed, being in state, being in flow, transcendental meditation. That's 8 hertz to 12 hertz. Now, interestingly enough, Molly, between alpha and theta, 7.83 hertz is the Earth's magnetic rotation, something called the Schumann resonance. The Earth's magnetic rotation is also the frequency of the human body cavity. Hello, geometry of the universe. Everything's kind of related through mathematics. So 7.83 hertz is really important for grounding, for DNA structure, for health, longevity. And alpha and theta is in that space. So relaxation, creativity, and then getting into the healing zone. That's alpha and theta. When we go up above alpha, we go from 13 hertz all the way up to 38 hertz. It's the broadest range. That is beta. Now, beta has several stages. 13 to 15 hertz is simply alert, functioning. Hey, I'm awake. I'm doing my thing. 15 to 20 hertz is focus. So if my brain is at 17 hertz, I am focused. 20 to 25 hertz, I'm starting to stress. 25 to 30, I am in a high stress, probably anticipatory anxiety, heart's palpitating, shortness of breath. 30 to 38, I have lost my marbles. I am cognitively dissociated. I don't have any access to blood flow to my prefrontal cortex. My brain and my character and my personality and my presence and my executive functioning are gone because all the oxygen-rich blood in my whole body are in my visceral organs and preparing me to stay alive, okay? You'll notice that when someone's really in a panic state, they can't be talked out of it. They can hear you, their ears still work, but cognitively they're dissociated. There's no cognition available to them. Then comes this really weird, cool spot. And humanity is filled with really cool, weird things. It's called gamma, 39 to 41 hertz. Above, the most stressed out way you can be is this little sweet spot. Now, gamma is commensurate with higher consciousness and high intensity, mistake-free focus. So when you are in gamma brainwave function, say 40 hertz, you are eliciting your sensory motor rhythm in your motor cortex. You're activating your cerebellum and your corpus callosum. You are also increasing your peripheral vision and your olfactory. You're preparing for the highest level of intensity performance possible. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how we survive. You cannot have zero frequency in your brainwave function. You would not be alive.
Right.
So at any point in your day, your brain is oscillating at a certain frequency. Now, interestingly enough, for the most part, as humans have evolved from cave people to today, we've always done something external to elevate or decrease our brainwave function. So, for example, if I woke up this morning, it's Wednesday, and I'm a little mentally lethargic, and hey, I only got an 85 sleep score. And I'm like, today's a busy day. I don't really want to perform. I don't want to be present in today's day.
Yes, basically on the bleachers. Yep.
That feeling, it stinks when you have that feeling. Then you have a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden that feeling dissipates. And your mind starts firing. These synapses are firing faster. Things starting to look more optimistic. This isn't magic. Caffeine simply increased your brainwave frequency probably to 16 to 17 hertz. Okay? You go exercise. Endorphins fire. You feel good. You increase your brainwave frequency. You get a hug from somebody. Oxytocin is released. You decrease your brainwave frequency. You have a glass of warm milk. You decrease your brainwave frequency. You sit and you read a book. You decrease your brainwave frequency. So we do all these things external. Blake Holloway said, I'm going to find a way to dial up and dial down brainwave function on demand using very sophisticated algorithms, physics, and mathematics built in a software and then overlaid with music, using your ears as a carrier to present the brain with a signal. That is what we've done. It is absolutely amazing. I've been running this company for 13 years. I've run 49 companies. I've been around the block. I'm 53 years old. I have a vast amount of experience, done some really cool things. I have never come remotely close to understanding the magnitude of what we've done. I look back at Nikola Tesla and George Lakhovsky, two physicists and electromedicine pioneers in the 1930s and 40s, and the world today still doesn't understand what they invented, and I believe that to be the case for what we've done as well. So our role and our goal has always been to perpetually make improvements to the technology to make it easier and to lower the barrier of entry and the price. NuCalm, NuCalm, was our first product offering. It came to market in 2009, was a $6,000 highly regulated FDA Class 3 medical device. We sold it primarily to doctors who in turn used it in surgical procedures and just really to help people balance their autonomic nervous system, kind of titrate them off antidepressants and anti-anxiety and all the core elements that create disease and emotional disorders and physical disorders. NuCalm, in its present form, looks nothing like it did 13 years ago. It's amazing, the evolution that we've done. The NuCalm technology is designed to slow down your brainwave function and to levitate you primarily in theta, theta being the healing zone. So I, as a human, doesn't matter what my disposition is. I could have stage 4 cancer. I could have multiple sclerosis. I could have Alzheimer's. I could be a professional athlete. I could be a celebrity, a performer. I could be a special forces operator, Navy SEAL. It doesn't matter what that looks like. The challenge for us is to be able to down-regulate the sympathetic tone, slow down our stress response when our monkey mind is active. Most humans can't do that. Meditation can do that, but the persistence, discipline, time, and method required to achieve that as a meditator is so profoundly challenging, most humans never get there. Tai Chi and yoga, the same thing. Conceptually, the whole goal around mindful practices is to oxygenate the entire body from your toes to your prefrontal cortex. NuCalm basically levitates your brainwave function in that sweet spot, keeps you there just above sleep, and allows you to do several things. One, we synchronize your breath, we synchronize your heart and your lungs, and we slow down your respiration rate to 1 breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute, which is the ultimate diaphragmatic breathing of a human being. This, in turn, oxygenates your body and creates new oxygen-rich red blood cells in your prefrontal and frontal cortex. This allows for new cognition and new what's called neuronal coherence. I am in coherence when I'm in breath, my heart and my lungs are connected, and I'm oxygenated. And this is really important. I am less prone to sabotage by that little amygdala, that little almond-shaped piece in my midbrain that constantly activates that sympathetic side and that fight or flight mechanism. That is the value of NuCalm. And we've been at this for a long time. And people will say, well, I've never heard of it. You're right, you have. Because we don't want to tell people. But when you're a neuroscience company, where do you think you spend your time and resources? On neuroscience.
Right.
We've spent 32 years. We have spent $33 million building the perfect mousetrap to allow humans to dial up or dial down their brainwave function, change their mental state on demand with no side effects, no issues, no compromise, no nothing. So NuCalm was our first product. We launched it. We spent years literally just educating doctors around the world. Today, we've done over 2 million surgical procedures with NuCalm. It's a huge honor and it's an amazing feat. Great. We also work across the Department of Defense, from your Navy SEALs to your Special Forces operators to Air Force Special Operations Command, Border Patrol, the FBI. We work with veterans, helping them basically reacclimate to civilian life and to manage the trauma that typically has led to post-traumatic stress, that typically is comorbid with addiction, all stress modulated. So here we are as a foundational therapy, simply to say, hey, let us allow you to put the brakes on. You can't heal when you're in a constant state of hypervigilance. We've worked with over 50 professional sports teams, athletes, their body and their performance, their mental acuity, their ability to perform at a very high level under tremendously stressful situations is their way of making a living. It's really important to them. And of all the athletes we've worked with the best athletes in the world since 2011. Not one of them is an effective meditator. And why would you expect them to be? They're not monks. They're professional athletes. So NuCalm has been an incredible gift to them because it allows them to relax, restore, recover physically. But most importantly, and I think Mike Gapsky, the head trainer of the Chicago Blackhawks, said it best. He said, we want our players to play intense, not tense. And NuCalm cleans the slate for them and allows them to be access to their mental conditioning and not worrying about stuff. In golf, they say, if you think, you stink. So NuCalm allows you that clarity of mind. So NuCalm's been around since 2009, and in 2021 and 20, we were able to successfully migrate from a Class 3 medical device with 4 components that was $6,000 and move to 3 components, making it an easier and a much more affordable product. You can buy NuCalm today for as low as $1.67 a day through a monthly subscription. Now, I'll briefly talk about NuCalm. You can go to the website and see how it works. There are 3 components today. There's a biosignal processing disc that's applied to your left wrist. There's an eye mask, and there's software. Simply put, the disc is very, very complicated quantum physics. I can share with you briefly how we do it. There's a signature of frequencies, primarily GABA A, GABA B, L-theanine, casein tryptic hydrolysate, and L-tyrosine. These are what you call a cornucopia of inhibitory neurotransmitters. The opposite of adrenaline, catecholamines, norepinephrine, cortisol, okay? They're designed to interrupt what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal cortex. This is a unilateral mechanism. Once the amygdala pings the hypothalamus, it's game on. Adrenaline's coming in full bore. Well, GABA interrupts the HPA axis and shuts down the adrenal cortex. So the reason for the disc is we want to interrupt the human stress response and the adrenaline so you can't resist the physics. It's what I would call the great equalizer. It makes sure that every time you NuCalm, your adrenaline can't resist it. You're going to have a very fast-acting relaxation response, a very deep experience, and the longevity of the benefits lasts longer. Secondly, we have an eye mask. The eye mask is simple. 80% of our cerebral cortex is our visual cortex. Of all the 5 senses and our intuition, we get most of our information from our eyes, making it impossible to relax, meditate, or sleep with your eyes open. So we simply need them closed. There you go. There's 2 components. The third component is software. People think it's music. Well, music, ladies and gentlemen, cannot elicit a physiological state change to the human brain and manage brainwave function with any predictability, ever. It's a physiological impossibility. Music, in our case, is simply a distraction and a carrier to make it a nice experience. Think about that awesome photo in National Geographic of the iceberg. 400 or 500 feet of waterline above is ice, and it's majestic and beautiful. But underneath the waterline is about 10,000 feet of ice. That's what we're doing. The top ice is the music. Below is over $8 million of patented physics, mathematics, and algorithms, pitch and frequency mathematical matrices, binaural signal processing, nonlinear oscillating algorithms, vibration, resonance. It is really complex because we're tricking the most complex organ in the history of mankind, the human brain. You're going to listen to a track. Your mind is going to continuously move. We don't clear your mind. It's not forced meditation. Your mind wanders while your body separates and begins to feel heavy. And in that heaviness, you're starting to separate into theta. Then you'll notice your respiration slow down. And then you'll notice you kind of go away. I don't know where you go. Sometimes people go and they talk to Jesus. Some people meet with their deceased relatives. Some people float through the Amazon. Some people see colors. I have no idea. We're liberating your subconscious. For me, most of the time, I think I just fall asleep. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you come to. That's it. When my body's had enough recovery, 30 minutes, 31 minutes, 32 minutes, you just become lucid with your surroundings again, and you're done. I've had enough recovery. I don't know how long I've been here. I take the eye mask off, the headphones. I get up. I feel very relaxed physically. I feel grounded to the earth, but I have a mental acuity and an optimism in my brain because all the garbage, all the stress, all these things that kind of occupy our brain are gone. They've been washed away by oxygen-rich red blood. So that is NuCalm. NuCalm is incredible, and it is a foundational therapy for everything we do. If we're working with stage 4 cancer, or working with PTSD, or working with addiction, we have to resolve the stress response first. Nothing else matters. Now we have dial up with Ignite Warrior Brain and dial down with deep sleep. That's what makes our combination so powerful. So if I want to dial up my brainwave function for cardio, for walking, for performance, I want real intense, mistake-free focus in my brain, I will simply listen with headphones to Ignite Warrior Brain. There's one instrumental track and there's 2 other tracks. Tony Robbins and I trained the Golden State Warriors together, and we trained the Washington Capitals together. We took his training and his neurolinguistic programming, and we applied it on top of our physics and a soundtrack to create arguably the most powerful mind control ever listened to. So you listen to Ignite and you hear Tony yelling at the Golden State Warriors to win a world championship, and you feel like you could get on the court and dunk the ball. It's amazing. So Ignite Warrior Brain, there's no disc, there's no eye mask, there's just headphones. And off you go into this really high intense state. It's like having 4 cups of coffee with no acidic issue. And then comes the good stuff for you, deep sleep. 8 years of research and development, 8 years to figure out how to trick the brain using a different wave format called isochronic waveform, as opposed to binaural signal processing, meaning you do not need headphones. You always want to make this easy. We can build the best, most sophisticated mousetrap in the world, but if it's not easy, humans won't adopt it. So what's the point? So 8 years of development. You listen to this by your bedstand. I have a speaker. It's accessed through my iPad through an app. And each night I turn it on, and the sleep latency is about 1 minute because the physics is pacing your brain down to 0.5 hertz. We launched this on November 15th, 2021. We launched it with a 50-minute track, 50. It paces your brain to 0.5 hertz, so helping the onset of sleep. But here's what we started hearing from people. Hey, this is amazing. I'm not having any issue falling asleep. I feel great. And then when the music stops, I tend to wake up. And I said, okay, that's called your central nervous system. Even when you're sleeping, your central nervous system is governing you for safety. So when it notices a change in the environment, it activates. So we went back to the well and said, we can do that, something different. We launched on January 25th of this year, 3 8-hour unique tracks using the 50-minute physics to take you down, and then 7 hours and 10 minutes to keep you asleep. So now we have an 8-hour track. You put it on, off you go. So the combination for the folks out there that are having difficulty sleeping, which I'm going to presume is everybody, we see a $585 billion growing industry. People are having significant issues with sleep. COVID didn't help it. Our food supply doesn't help it. Our tethering to technology doesn't help it. Everything seems to be against us, right? This inertia seems to be against our ability to sleep well. And then you get into this weird habit of creating anticipatory anxiety when the sun goes down. Inside your head, you start getting agitated that you're not going to be able to sleep that night, making it possible for you not to sleep. You're right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Deep sleep doesn't have an attitude. Deep sleep doesn't have a judgment. Deep sleep doesn't care. It's simply physics. It says, hey, Molly, let's show you what 0.5 hertz feels like. Because you're going to end up in a puddle of drool like the rest of us. So the combination today is exceptionally powerful. All of this is clinically proven. All of this is patented. All of this is FDA and military and all this really hard, arduous neuroscience stuff that you have to do, even though it seems non-value add. But in reality, if you NuCalm for 30, 40 minutes a day, from the time you wake up to 7 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter when, ideally between 12 and 4 when your body's natural biorhythm wants to take a nap, but NuCalm each day. Then you do deep sleep at night, and I guarantee if you are human and your heart is working and your lungs are working, you will have an incredible improvement in your sleep quality as measured by the low amount of time for you to fall asleep, which they call sleep latency, and the increase in your REM, which is also theta, and your increase in deep sleep. So for me, I'm 53 years old. I live a very, very untenable schedule. I travel between 270 and 300 days a year. I have 3 girls, 20, 18, and 15, and I run a global neuroscience company. There's a lot of reasons for me to have a really poor sleep architecture. I sleep about 5 to 6 hours a night, and my sleep scores are 85 to 95 every single day. And my sleep percentage of REM and deep is 56 to 64% every night. It is insane. I use this tool to help me stay alive, stay focused, perform at a very high level every minute of every day so that I can proceed with this mission to change the world and liberate humans from stress and help with 2 key elements of life: manage your stress without drugs and improve your sleep quality without drugs.
Yes, amazing. And I know out of some of our conversations we'd had previously, you cited a couple instances in different groups that in particular have noticed some of those impacts with their sleep, groups with PTSD and certain studies that you've kind of been a part of. Wondering if you can share more about some of those on the ground things that you've seen for people measurably that have really just been so clear that the sleep cause and effect is so there, because you said it so well around this element that you cannot divorce sleep, stress management from our results with our sleep. And so for anyone that needs more of the information around that very clear connection, I wonder if you can share a little about that.
NuCalm is a fundamental therapy. Deep sleep kind of fills in the gaps of your sleep architecture. NuCalm is key. Why? There are 3 ways that NuCalm improves your sleep quality. Now, Dr. Chung Kang Pang, the world's leading statistical biophysicist, anyone who's interested in HRV, heart rate variability, may or may not recognize his name, but he is the godfather of HRV, medical grade HRV, and his research has over 59,200 citations. Now, as an academician, you look at your research citations as your currency. He has the most of anyone I've ever met and probably the most of everybody I know combined. Okay, he's an expert in sleep. He and the NASA mathematician are the ones who determined that 20 minutes of NuCalm is equivalent to 2 hours of restorative sleep. Not 2 hours of sleep, 2 hours of restorative sleep. Why? Because if you recall, NuCalm suspends your brainwave in theta, allowing your body the opportunity to heal in a concentrated manner. So I personally am probably guilty of using NuCalm as a tool to kind of mitigate some of the hours I need. Never, ever tell anybody not to sleep. You will die if you don't sleep. But NuCalm has the ability to augment and make up sleep debt where the human body doesn't. NuCalm, that disc, is presenting your brain with a supersaturation of GABA A and GABA B. GABA, many of you are aware of, and you might even eat the supplement, and I'd recommend that you probably stop doing that because your body can only absorb about 7 to 9% of any supplement, and crossing the blood-brain barrier is very difficult. But using bioresonance like a tuning fork, we have a different delivery mechanism, and that biosignal processing disc supersaturates your brain with GABA. What does that do for me? At night, when your body's preparing for sleep, it needs 3 key nutrients. It needs melatonin, serotonin, and GABA, where GABA's primary function in sleep is to turn off your brain and allow you to wind down and go to sleep. So each night that I've NuCalmed, when my brain goes to find GABA, there is plenty there. That's number 1. Number 2, you cannot go to sleep angry. You cannot go to sleep agitated. You cannot go to sleep with cortisol in your belly activating your mind. You can't do it. Go ahead, try. You can't. So when we prepare for sleep, your body, without talking to you and asking permission, is trying to resolve all the built-up stress from the day. And many of us have built up a mountain. But when I NuCalm, say at 2 o'clock, any stress that I've created from 5:30 to 2 o'clock is completely resolved in that NuCalm experience. So at night, that mountain is now a molehill. It's an easier process for me to wind down. And thirdly, and probably the biggest indictment in our culture, in our everlasting quest to get our to-do list done, we've lost sight of simple being human elements. And that is, we have forgotten how to relax. NuCalm is going to train your brain using elements of your brain you can't hear and you can't see, okay? It's all done in mathematics underneath the human ear. It's inaudible. But every day you NuCalm, you're training your brain on how to relax. So those 3 elements, make NuCalm and the cumulative benefit of NuCalm improve my sleep quality. So I can tell you a couple elements personally from my journey. I dream every night. Dreaming goes away for most adults because you have a GABA deficiency. GABA deficiency is a really important, really kind of tragic element to occur in society. In fact, 6 or 7 years ago, a Harvard Medical School journal showed some of the etiology and genesis of the spectrum of autism and Asperger's is derived from GABA deficiency, which makes great sense because the autistic and Asperger person cannot downregulate their sympathetic tone and their overstimulation. Food is so metabolically acidosis based. Everything's acid and sugar. We've lost the balance in our food supply. So we're not extracting the levels of GABA that our body needs to keep us in balance. So those three elements help with sleep. The deep sleep helps fill in the gaps of the sleep architecture. So when I wake up at night to go pee, I am 53 years old, then I don't lie there and perseverate over stupid shit I can't solve at 2:30 in the morning. I fall right back to sleep. It's amazing. So what have we seen? We've done a tremendous amount of work, and a lot of our work for the patents and the regulatory were done on two elements of population, two extremes, stage 4 metastatic cancer and the Chicago Blackhawks. And the amazing thing about this was that the NuCalm system had the exact impact on both groups of humanity, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were close to dying and consumed with stress, or you were a high-performing professional athlete, finely tuned machine. Within 5 minutes, your sympathetic tone was almost nothing. Now, it can't be nothing because you still need sympathetic tone to operate your heart, but you saw the sympathetic tone of the human, what's called a sympathovagal balance, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic balance. You saw it go down to almost zero and raise the parasympathetic. And it happens in 5 minutes for everybody. And then you saw this sustained parasympathetic dominance until you were done healing. So we've done a ton of work with the FBI hostage rescue team, the Navy SEALs, the Special Forces operators. They use quantified measures all the time, every day, and they measure HRV, galvanic skin response. They have Whoop and Garmin and Aura and everything you can think of. They are constantly evaluating this. And what they're doing is they're using NuCalm as a tool. Well, the operators, I believe 93% of the operators are using it daily. But they can see through their dashboards who is starting to get too stressed, too sympathetic, and then thus impact their decision-making in a high-stress environment where you're dealing with a hostage. They will literally pull them out of that mission if they feel like they're not taking care of themselves. And they'll do, hey, you need NuCalm, you need deep sleep. The professional athlete, amazing. We've had several world championships teams use NuCalm on a daily basis. The athlete uses NuCalm probably twice a day. They're very ritualistic in their behavioral pattern, and their body and their ability to perform is their currency, right? That's how they're going to make a living. Typically, the athlete will use NuCalm first thing in the morning to make up for that sleep debt. Their schedule is not normal. They perform at 7 o'clock at night. They shower at 10. They do media, and then they travel. And then they will NuCalm after they do their morning skate or their practice. All of the athletes typically have a built-in nap schedule, and in that nap schedule is when they'll NuCalm. Okay. When you NuCalm, you oxygenate. So you repair the body, you get rid of lactic acid, and you lower inflammation, but you also oxygenate. So you improve your endurance, your clarity, and your strength. And then at night, they'll use deep sleep. You can use deep sleep anywhere you wish. I've not traveled that much with it. I know I have to go to Europe a few times. I think I go to Vietnam. I'll use deep sleep on the plane then. But for the most part, I'll NuCalm on a daily basis. Very rarely will I NuCalm twice a day, but you can NuCalm as many times as you wish. It's really synonymous with like monk-like meditation. And you can do it anytime you want, except don't do it after 7 o'clock at night. Because remember, 20 minutes is equivalent to 2 hours of restorative sleep. And I'd never want to take a power nap and then try to go to sleep. Right. So there's one group that's really fascinating to me because I didn't invent NuCalm. It is so far beyond my pay grade. I've been running this company and lecturing for 13 years, and I have the best advisory board on earth. Great. Learned a lot. But it's difficult to conceptualize how all this works together. I just know that you want to test it and test it and test it. I had the same disbelief that we all do. We've all been marketed to our entire life. When something seems too good to be true, 99.9% of the time it is. This is one of those rare times it's not. So 7 years ago, in my ever quest of pushing the boundaries of learning what this is and challenging this, we started working with monks. You know your technology is powerful when monks are using it to relax. So we have a book called A NuCalm, authored by Dr. Michael Gallitzer, the esteemed energy medicine doctor in California. And Larry Trivieri has written 35 or more books in holistic medicine. And the foreword of the book is authored by Tony Robbins, a dear friend of mine, and certainly a nuclear reactor of power. I mean, his energy output is insane. Okay. The preface is written by Brother Craig Marshall, the yoga nun and monk that trained the Beatles on meditation and was Steve Jobs' confidant and right-hand man. That's incredible. They're using the same technology to derive the same benefit from two aspects of humanity. So from stage 4 cancer to PTSD to alcoholism, drug abuse, to titrating off antidepressants or anti-anxiety, to Alzheimer's, to trying to have a quality of life towards the end of your life with Lou Gehrig's disease. There is no cure for it. Through the dopamine issues with Parkinson's, through just everyday functioning humans. A lot of menopausal females have major interruptions in their sleep architecture, in night sweats and mood swings. NuCalm is a great stabilizer. It's a great facilitator. Listen, let's help you get that sleep. Let's help you get the sleep you didn't get. One of the cool things about it is it's an anchor technology that I can always rely on. And it's simple in its form and powerful in its outcome. But if I don't sleep well, or I'm traveling or whatever's going on, I know I can always make up for that in an hour-long session. I just need time in a safe place. That's it. So all I can say to your audience is give it a try.
Absolutely.
You haven't heard about us because we don't market it, but we have marketed. I've been featured on the BBC, CNN, MSNBC, CBS News, CBS Morning News, The Today Show, The Wall Street Journal, The Financial Times, Forbes Magazine. We have been around, but with the human brain getting 10 to 15,000 marketing messages a day, unless you spend most of your company's resources on marketing, you just need to imprint and imprint and imprint. We are here. We are real. We've been at this for 32 years of invention and discovery. We've been serving humanity for 13 years with a tangible, patented, clinically proven device. And the beauty of it is, Molly, it is easy to use. It will not judge you. It will simply be there to take care of you.
I love that. I also love something you mentioned around the anti-anxiety, because we have a lot of clients that might either have navigated, they're in the process of weaning or curious about that for anti-anxiety medication under the umbrella of kind of benzodiazepines or hypnotics in particular that they've had for their sleep and for often years, and are struggling because they feel like there's not things for them to help support that process. So based on some of the things that you were sharing of people being able to utilize this to help support that process and how it affects GABA, have you seen a lot of that kind of success stories of people utilizing this?
Thousands and thousands. Yeah. I'm going to let your audience in a little secret. Follow the money. That's how it works, okay? The pharmaceutical industry is less than 100 years old and very, very well funded. But you have a central nervous system and an autonomic nervous system. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the autonomic nervous system is what governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. So why would you think it's a good idea to give me a central nervous system suppressant to manage an autonomic nervous system problem?
Yeah.
It is not a good idea. And so please, you are the owner of the domain of your body and your mind. You know your mind and body better than any doctor ever could. Doctor, no shame on them. Allopathic Western medicine is amazing, but it's symptom management and doesn't address the holistic etiology of the disease state. They're not designed to take care of you and say, hey, what's the root cause here? They're simply wanting to manage a symptom. The challenge for all of us is this. Your body is a closed loop ecosystem with trillions of cells, and it has the highest level of compensatory nature ever. So anything you put into your body, it's going to compensate. That compensation is why you feel off kilter. So if you're filled with anxiety, and you have these triggers, creates anticipatory anxiety. You have these triggers. You get an anti-anxiety, it's suppressing your central nervous system, but it's not addressing the root cause, which is the autonomic nervous system. And in that process, it's also creating side effects and compensating for that suppression. That's why you don't feel like yourself, because you're out of balance. So we would highly recommend anybody try NuCalm. You'd be crazy not to. Whether it works for you or not, there's no harm. 2 million surgical procedures, everybody who uses NuCalm on a daily basis, there's been 0 reported adverse events. All we're doing is dialing you down or dialing you up. Do not immediately go off anything. That is a fool's errand and is dangerous.
Yeah.
But you can start with NuCalm, continue your regimen, and then you titrate as you see fit. There's no path because your neurophysiology and your epigenetics is completely variable to you. There is no cookie cutter way to say, hey, take, half the Klonopin, or it doesn't work that way. So you operate knowing that what you're switching is actually helping on the root cause and helping you gain better health. If we can get your autonomic nervous system in balance, your body knows how to heal thyself. Can't seem to get there because we can't slow down our monkey mind. That's one of the ironies of living in today's world.
So true. Wow. Okay. Well, there's so much information here. And I know we've only scratched the surface. And I'm sure people listening will then wonder, okay, so Jim has been in this game for so long. How is he managing his sleep? So we're going to ask you a couple of questions about your sleep. And I'm sure, I'm sure they change and ebb and flow, and you're traveling, you're doing all these things. But right now, what are you doing for your nightly routine? What does that look like for you?
That's an amazing question. I have something called the secret weapon. It's called advanced applied neuropsychobiology in the form of NuCalm and deep sleep.
Yes.
I do at 53 years old, and having worked with a naturopath, quantum physicist, neuroscientist whose goal was to keep me alive, I have learned a lot and I have changed some of my behavioral pattern. So I eat healthy and I exercise. My lifestyle is not healthy, but it's a real simple routine for me. I NuCalm on a daily basis and I do deep sleep every night. I'm getting 4 to 5.5 to 6 hours of sleep, but each night I get 88 to 95 or 85 to 95 sleep scores. The percentage of my sleep's amazing. I'm very rarely in a place where I don't feel good, restored, recovered in the morning. So there is no need for anything really for me. I can do whatever I want because the power of the physics takes you down regardless. I can, last night I ate 2 handcrafted macaroons at like 10 o'clock. I did. They were so good. At 53 years old, I don't know, some of us are just programmed. I don't waste. And so people visited me this weekend and one of them's a baker and she came with macaroons. I was like, I can't roll out. So 10 o'clock at night, I ate these 2 incredible macaroons. Now, typically eating sugar right before your bed is probably not good, right? The routine's really simple. I NuCalm each day. Typically, I try with COVID and not traveling as much. I try between 12 and 4 to NuCalm, and it's just a gift. I just dive in, and it feels amazing, and I feel great when I get up. And then I just put on deep sleep at night, and it's amazing. That's it. It's the power of neuroscience, and it's the power of being able to downregulate and upregulate the sympathetic tone at my discretion and at my leisure. So it is a really powerful, predictable tool.
Amazing. And that might feed into the second question, which is what might we see on your nightstand or even proverbial nightstand if you're traveling, and apps and ambiance or any of those things?
You see a Sony speaker. It's about 10 inches by 4. It's got very good output. And I tap into that with Bluetooth to an iPad and I play. There's 3 8-hour deep sleep tracks, Sonic Essence, Summer Rain, and Sleep Melodies. And I kind of just move in and out of all 3 of those. That's it.
Do you wear the disc for the deep sleep ones too?
No.
No. Different, just during the day.
You can. We have a lot of people. There's 5 ways to buy NuCalm. There's 4, like a monthly and an annual subscription. There's a lifetime. And the lifetime's $2,000. It's a significant investment. Now it's cheaper than the $6,000 it used to be, but we have a lot of people that have invested in the mastermind and spent $2,000, and they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, some type of disease state, and just have a major corrupt sleep architecture. You can, in that instance, wear the disc and give yourself more GABA to help with the onset of sleep. So, people play around with it, but for the most part, no, it's not necessary whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's there's almost nothing I need to do. I just get in my bed and I turn on the track and
nice.
It's amazing.
Fantastic. Okay. And then the last question would be, what has made the biggest change to your sleep game or biggest aha moment as you're navigating sleep?
I've had the luxury of doing NuCalm for 13 years. So it took me a little bit. It took me about 7 months to realize the equation that if I invest 20, 30, 40 minutes of NuCalm, it repays me with 6 to 10 hours of high effective, clear, high performance. And so over time, you create a super species. My output and efficiency is not human and hasn't been for a long time. Sure. It doesn't slow down. There's been a cumulative benefit to it. There is no silver bullet. People are egregiously impatient and easily frustrated, and there's a cumulative benefit to it. So I can tell you one aha moment I had in my life with NuCalm, and that was about 5 years of using it. I used to be deathly afraid of heights. I just had a tremendous phobia. Phobia is autonomic nervous system.
Sure.
Phobia is nonsensical. Your fear of something that doesn't really exist. So I had a fear of heights probably from 25 until about 47. And the cumulative use of NuCalm, balancing the autonomic nervous system, getting rid of stress sabotage. I'm no longer scared of heights. I can go into a hotel, be on the 32nd floor, go out to the balcony. My knees don't shake. My tummy doesn't get crazy. That is amazing. So that's my cathartic moment because It was so troubling. So here I am. I'm a tough guy. I was a wrestler and I've got 2 black belts and I've got 3 girls and I'm a protective dad and I'm scared to death of heights. Put me on heights, man, and I will get in fetal position, suck my thumb and call for my mommy. That's humiliating. Guess what? I don't have that anymore. So that cumulative piece has helped me dramatically, and just the opportunity, as we grow and we evolve, we often depreciate, and our sleep is the biggest takeaway. It just eats at us, and an insidious, cumulative, negative consequence of not sleeping. That's just how life is. I don't suffer that fate, and I'm really blessed not to.
Amazing. Wow. Well, so for anyone listening, I'm sure there's no way people aren't intrigued or want to learn more. What are the best ways for them to do that?
I go to www.NuCalm.com. Keep in mind that we used to be a medical device, very expensive, class 3, highly regulated device. We used to have a website that was 321 pages of science for the medical community. Then we launched a subscription model and lowered the price by 99% to come to consumers. So we're a neuroscience company. We have a lot of educating to do. We try to keep it simple. I use the analogy of a microwave. People don't know how a microwave works. I don't really care for you to ever know how applied neuropsychobiology and quantum physics and biochemistry works. I just want you to know it's easy to use and will be a really good tool to take care of you. So come take a look. We've got videos and all this training material. We've been training people for 13 years on the pioneering aspect of how to manage stress and improve sleep without drugs, and give it a go.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just looking at my email. I know Amy from your team had hooked us up, the Sleep is a Skill listeners, with a code. You can use MM10OFF, MM10OFF to get a discount with that subscription. And, just absolutely taking a look at it. I've been astounded with the number of clients that have tested this out and they just keep doing it, and they are mystified as to how this is happening. And so I'm going to be pointing them in the direction of this podcast, of course, to really, underscore a bit more of what is happening. And yet they keep doing it because they're getting the results. So a number of people are looking forward to this conversation to learn more about the why. So thank you for taking the time to do that in the midst of your wild lineup. I know you're working with some crazy people, doing some amazing things on the planet. So thanks so much for taking the time to share this with us.
My pleasure. Always opportunity to expand our reach, to create awareness. It is about education. You can't take care of yourselves if you're not sure what is out there. And You're right. There's a mystique about what we do. I love it. I love the science. I can talk to you all day about the science, but in reality, it's really the outcome. And so it's really a pleasure to hear all the cool things we do for people. And it's addition by subtraction. When we liberate you from sabotage of stress and fear and anxiety and worry, you have the best life you could have. We don't make you a rock star. We don't make you a professional athlete. We make you the best version of you. And that's an incredible, incredible gift and an obligation and an honor. I love what we do. And we are here to serve first and take care of people.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. It's really inspiring. And so, just having said that, anyone listening, definitely check out NuCalm, NuCalm, CALM. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Sleep is a Skill podcast, the #1 podcast for people who want to take their sleep skills to the next level. Every Monday, I send out something that I call Molly's Monday Obsessions, containing everything that I'm obsessing over in the world of sleep. Head on over to sleepisaskill.com to sign up.